the old pods and the new. Brought to you by the Geek Goodness Network.
What's up, world? Gerald Cooper here for the Geek Goodness Podcast Network and by the old pods and the new. Come in, sit down, have a Dornish red with us. Nothing? Okay, that's fine.
I'm not much of a wine drinker, but I guess in that world I probably would have to be.
I think we do fine with ale.
Yeah, I'm good with ale.
All right, Manny, glad to have you with us at this late hour. How's it going?
As always, glad to be here. Things are going good. Everybody's tucked into their beds, and I'm the only one awake, so we're good to go.
The only one at House Lopez lurking in the catacombs. How's that?
Pretty much.
How are the little ones doing?
Doing good. I'm sure by the time I get upstairs, Isabel is going to be in our bed. So
nice. Halfway missed those days. Yeah, there's a whole joke in there that I'm not going to get into right now. Miles, Big Cuz, how's it going?
Oh, hanging in there. Can't complain too much. How you making out?
Bro, I'm beat. But we're going to power through it. We're going to power through it. It's an episode that I think you mentioned that you were kind of geared up to get into. And Manny's got some specific stuff. So
it's a great episode this time around.
Let us jump into season 2, episode 4, Garden of Bones. Also super ominous. Good show title.
Definitely.
Good show title. All right, the show opens up with 2 Lannister soldiers basically making the best of being on watch on a dark and stormy night by having some jokes at each other's expense. Stops being funny and gets stabby when Robb and the Northern forces show up. They have clearly just wiped out the Lannister soldiers, cleaned their clocks. The scene goes from stormy night to gloomy day, and we see basically the gory after effects of battle. We meet Roose Bolton for the first time. He's a Stark bannerman who's all about killing and torturing Lannister prisoners. Robb pushed the kibosh on all of that. Robb then meets a field nurse who at the time is literally sawing off a Lannister soldier's leg to keep the rest of his leg because the rots basically set in. She's attractive, she's compassionate, she's a little bit saucy, and Robb is clearly smitten. Manny, I'm gonna go to you first on this one. Who is Roose Bolton, and what the hell is flaying?
Well, Roose Bolton is, like you said, one of the bannermen of the North, of the Starks. And flaying is something that has been outlawed in the North by Robb's late father, Ned, which he had said. Flaying is pretty much peeling the skin from your body.
He wants to say it again for me.
He wants to peel the skin off of the Lannister soldiers that have been captured to try to use that to interrogate them and get information out of them.
What's the line? A tortured man. Give me the line. I'm sorry.
The line. A naked man has few secrets. A flayed man has none.
There you go. All right. Roose is Roose is a piece of work. What do you got on this scene, Miles?
Well, I'm not going to condone torture or anything, but Roose is just trying to talk to Robb and let him know that there's alternative options in this situation. He's letting him know that we don't have enough room for the prisoners, which is a fact. They definitely don't have enough food for everybody. And he's letting him know that sometimes, you can take the high road all you want, but you take the high road, you might not get to where you're going to get to.
He does say something like that in there's a specific line that he says in regards to the high road.
The high road might be pretty, but it's hard to go down there sometimes. Another thing is we got to remember that Roose is just not a normal bannerman to the Starks. Roose is technically, his house is like the secondary house to the north. Like he's the second, that Boltons are the second powerful house in the north. So he has some say in like what's going on. So when he sits there, he's trying to give him that option, Robb lets him know that his father, who is dead, had outlawed flaying. Well, at least the family had outlawed flaying a long time ago in the north. And Roose, kind of funny, was like, well, we're not in the north anymore.
Right, yeah. That was good.
So it's interesting to see, to meet Roose. I think this is the first time you meet Roose.
Yes.
In the show.
Yeah, first time.
So it's very interesting to get more in depth in these secondary houses that are starting to come up in the show. So it's always good to get like more information about them, because like in that scene, you basically got the model of what the Boltons are all about. Yeah, they're gonna, they flay people. It's on their sigil.
I was just about to say, even their sigil is the upside down flayed man.
Yeah.
Yep.
So,
and I wish that Roose Bolton is a really cool character, and I wish they kind of would have, in the course of the series, got into him as much as they did in the books, because there's more Roose in the books than there is in the show. But he's definitely a really interesting character.
Let's one of the things that I took from this, and this show, I think one of the turn-ons to people about this show is that there's so much sex and there's so much violence, and it's very graphic is the only word that comes to mind. But here, it's all particularly quite gory. Guts are hanging out, limbs are lost. Even in the scene where Talissa, who we just kind of brushed upon, is sawing off the Lannister soldier's legs. It's shot in a way, it's presented in a way that you feel every sort of, I don't even know what to call it, stroke of the saw. It's quite gory, and that sort of leads me into the exchange between Robb and Talissa about the cost of war and why they have war, and she's throwing questions at him that he really can't answer. He's in it for his family. He's in it to get rid of the Lannisters. There's a lot of personal issues here, but again, she's like, dude, you don't have a plan. Like you're killing people, and you don't have a plan for how this is supposed to end, which I thought was interesting. Again, they talk about the cost of war, and we see it laid bare. Any thoughts on any of that?
Well, to be fair, he does have a plan. He told her the plan. The plan is once he's done taking out the Lannisters and avenging his father's death, he's going back north. He doesn't care about what happens to the south. I mean,
that's not a plan.
That is a plan. That's his plan. That's his plan.
That's half a plan.
Okay, I'll go with that. But that's not a plan. We're going. Yeah.
I'm sorry, but maybe it is a half a plan. But to me, like
he can't leave a vacuum like that, because then you're just going to get into the same mess over again.
Maybe so, but like, what does everyone want? Like, Robb is doing this to. First of all, he's only doing this to rescue his father. His father gets killed on his way there. They, at a spur of a moment, they named him king, which is something that, he's taken in stride, but it's something he probably never wanted in the first place.
Agreed, for sure.
So, like, you might say it's a half a plan, but to him, that's a plan. His plan is to get his sisters, kill the Lannisters, and let the chips fall where they may.
Right, and chips fall in any political war scheme is not a plan. America doesn't go into Iraq. But you know what? Let's get this.
Because that's one of the biggest reasons why Afghanistan is the way it is because we just left them with rubble after we tried to help them out with the Russians.
After we took everything that.
Well, back when they were fighting their war against the Russians, and then we gave them weapons and stuff like that. But then we left. We were like, okay, you guys did all right. You're good. Just clean yourselves up. And
we got what we needed. We're out.
There's a really good movie about the Charlie Wilson's War. With Tom Hanks. That's
that's a good movie.
That really shows how that kind of whole situation came to be, and is the like my thinking of why Rob shouldn't just leave the Iron Throne empty after why it's just half a plan.
Right.
Well, he could put a puppet on the Iron Throne. He
could. He's not going to.
That's a plan.
Right, but he's not going to.
But he doesn't have that.
Weeds. The three of us can't do this because we are going to get in the weeds. All right. I have one other thing that I know I'm going to get heat for, Maz, because you haven't been here. This is Rob again presented incredibly well. The killing of the Lannister soldiers and the cut to Rob with it actually wasn't, because as many times as I've seen it, I thought it was a lightning bolt at the time, like where you get the light on his face, and it wasn't quite that. But it's this dramatic this how can I put it? This dramatic sort of guys, help me! I'm losing words. We can't hang on this for two. But it made Rob look big and powerful, and considering that he snuck up on the Lannisters and won, it also made him look smart. He for whatever we know that happens later, they're building Rob as this great character.
I can see that. I mean, they also show him that he's still young. So I mean,
yes.
Right.
Yes,
and that's the whole Talissa scene is just kind of bringing him back down.
Yeah,
they put him on they bring him to this, and they give him to his zenith, and then they start bringing him back down to earth, and which is almost very telling of how because this is, I feel, a turning point for him.
Oh,
right here,
for sure. But again, walking into it, guys who haven't read the books, we don't know that. All right. So, at court, Joffrey is publicly humiliating Sansa, mostly because he's a reprehensible twat, but also because her brother Rob is giving Tywin fits on the battlefield. He threatens her with a crossbow. He has Sir Meryn rip her gown off. Not off, but you know what I'm saying. Yeah. Meryn's about to beat her with a sword because if he swung the sword doing anything else, it's like, wait a minute, he's going to just slash her right then, which was weird. So we're going to say beat. When Tyrion comes in and interrupts everything, he saves Sansa from the beating. He checks the shit out of Joffrey and asks if basically, do you want out of this engagement to Joffrey? Sansa stiffens her upper lip. She does her best Fox News political pundit talking point and lies and says hey, Joffrey's my king and I can't wait to be married to him.
I am loyal to King Joffrey, my one true love.
There you go. I'm going to jump ahead just a little bit. So
that's fine.
Bronn and Tyrion surmise that Joffrey just needs to get laid. He'll be fine. Get the poison out, Bronn says. So Tyrion sends Raz, everybody's favorite redheaded whore, and a friend to the king's chambers as a name day surprise. Mm-hmm. Joffrey's what, 15 or 16 here? Something like that?
Something like that.
Something like that, probably, yeah.
And he has zero interest into, depending on your taste, into hot naked women in his chambers. And he knows what they're there for. What Joffrey's turned on by is the suffering of others.
Oh, yeah.
Miles, take me through what Joffrey does here.
Okay, so he is introduced to these two lovely women who are already naked, and I guess a typical teenager or us as guys would be like, okay, we know what to do.
This is the best thing that's ever happened to me.
This is the best. This is the best birthday gift ever.
Right?
The problem is Joffrey is not that type of person. He's a very sadomasochist, I guess is the word you would use. So as he is ordering Roz to beat this other girl, increasingly harder with increasingly bigger items, right? Starting off with her hand, then his belt, and then this weird Baratheon looking pipe.
It's like a mace or something with the head and antlers of a stag. It's just brutal.
Yeah, and then you got to that part, and it was just. You start cringing when you hear the hit and the scream. It's like, oh, it's horrible. But you look at his face; he is like enjoying the hell out of it.
He's so into it. He's so into it.
Yeah, just that tells you everything you need to know about Joffrey.
And some people think that like these kind of scenes are just more of that gratuitous nudity and everything. This is nudity and everything and sex with a point.
Yes.
This is character building.
Yes.
This is
tells a story for sure. Yeah.
This is telling who Joffrey is.
Yeah.
And just this is giving him just showing his character as he's like you always thought he was just this little twat he's demented.
And let me jump back just a little bit. So when he comes in, he's clearly worried that the hounds guarding his door. He's got the worried expression on his face, and the hound's like, "Hey, your uncle left your name the gift," and he's worried about what Tyrion may have done. He goes in, it's them. He kind of calms down, but the first thing Roz does is she kind of lays hands on his chest, and then she goes for they don't have zippers in the world of Ice and Fire, but where his zipper would be, and he's like, no. So I gotta ask, guys, is he like beyond his proclivities to lay pain on other human beings? Is he in this sort of asexual?
Oh no!
Like he doesn't have any interest in sex.
No, I don't think that. I think literally he's a guy who likes pain. So
other people's pain.
Yeah, other people's pain. So. Right. Not even going to go into the fact that Sansa is going to marry this guy, and who knows what type of horrors she will have to go through in bed with this person. But you sit there and you watch that scene, and at the end of it, to me, I don't want to get too graphic, but to me, with how everything is going down, he probably finished himself right then and there.
Yeah. I mean, but it's like he wasn't comfortable with the touching. You know what I mean? And that was striking to me.
He might not like to be touched, but he has that voyeurism in him, I guess.
Yes.
Might be a way to put it. I don't think he's asexual. I think he finds females attractive. I just think he's very
particular in his tastes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
We'll say it like that.
Okay. All right. So I mean, there's just a ton of like weird because like, again, it's not that. Excuse me. That I want to, okay, all men are going to react the same way in the fictional characters and everything else, but it bears looking into. There's a piece of it that's also about Tyrion. Oh, you gave me this gift now, and this is where Joffrey is just a total prick. Your uncle, who you've had all of these disagreements with, gave you a gift. No matter what it was, he gave you a gift. And you can't, I'm really not into this, ladies, just get out. And appreciate the value of the gift, right?
No, he wants to do his demented little thing and then send them back to him so that Tyrion can see what he did with the gift.
He has to stick it to Tyrion.
Right.
He must. Not, okay, let me recognize what this could be an olive branch. Nope, can't see it that way. And there's also the when he tells Roz to hit her with the, I don't know what that thing was, man. With the,
that mace thing. We'll call it a mace.
Yeah, let's go with that. He's cranking his
crossbow.
Yeah, he's loading it because he's and then so on top of that he's pointing a crossbow at them.
Yeah, but that's such a masturbatory metaphor. Yeah. It was like like he's technically cranking it right in front of him. I was like, again, it's one of those scenes where it's like, I've watched this at least 10 times already, and I saw this in an entirely different light this time. All right, so let's move on. So one of the riders Daenerys sent out, to find resources of any kind is back with a message from Quarth. He finds the city of Quarth. And I'm probably pronouncing it wrong too. That they are happy to welcome the mother of dragons. So the Dothraki do get a little hope here. You guys got anything? Because this isn't much of a scene.
Not much.
No, it's very short.
Yeah. Is this the part where, forgive me if I'm wrong, where she asks Jorah about it, and then he tells her that only thing he knows is that the, area around them is called like the Garden of Bones.
Yeah.
Or is it? Okay. Okay, because I couldn't recall where it was this scene or another scene later in the episode.
Yeah, it was this scene. Because they've only got the 2 scenes with Daenerys in this episode.
Yeah, it was just that and that them actually there. Besides getting that little tidbit, all thing we know is like this is a desperate moment for them. Like they finally got the answer they were looking for, which is someone to help out. Now, she has to see if this pays off, because if this doesn't work, like Jorah said, people have been turned away, and that garden has been getting bigger and bigger. So we'll see what happens later.
Real quick, guys, did I skip a scene? I feel like I missed something here.
I was just about to say you skipped Littlefinger going to talk to Renly at the camp.
Okay, good. I'm glad somebody brought that up.
Kind of short scene, but
right, but and it's right, and it's good that you brought it up, because we're or I brought it up and you corrected me. So basically, he goes there to talk to Kat to negotiate for.
He goes to talk to Renly.
Yeah. He's there. He knows Kat's there first, but he's
there to talk to Renly.
Yeah.
Oh, see, because I thought that this
scene he talks to Renly. The next scene later on in the episode, he talks to Kat.
Right. I thought his purpose was to talk to Kat, sent there by Tyrion, but he's making the rounds.
Nah.
Oh yeah. I think. Because I think dual purpose.
Yeah. Because I'm like, wait, why are you poking Renly? Why are you? And this is what I was asking myself watching again. And he's most certainly what's it? Marjorie. He's poking Marjorie about.
He pokes her later too. Yeah.
Right. About their marriage and their sex life and things of that nature. So. Mm-hmm. Manny, what is Littlefinger doing here?
He's hedging his bets. That's pretty much how I see this scene with Renly. He's trying to play, get himself as many outs as he can. He's like, maybe if we strike some sort of a deal, by the end of it, he's like, I know you don't like me, but maybe we can come to some sort of agreement. And when you get to King's Landing, you'll either face a protracted siege or the gates will be wide open for you.
Right. He's saying that he could possibly help with that.
Right.
Okay. So Miles, give me the stuff about him and Marjorie. What are his
later on
with Marjorie?
That's a little bit later on.
That's later in the episode.
Do you want to group it here now, or do you want to?
Well, we can go for it. We can go for it.
All right. Well, in this one, like when he was talking to Renly, he's just trying to, find himself a backdoor just in case, Renly somehow makes his army to King's Landing Tywin's not there. They don't really have a force to put up a fight against any army at this point, to be honest with you. There's not much there. Well, what he's trying to figure out from Marjorie is how I guess how well is the Reach really connected to the Stormlands? That's how I look at it. Because if she's not pregnant and if she's not, they haven't really consummated anything, let's say it really does lose, you still have an opportunity to get the Reach. At least bring them back in the fold. But this is all just him putting people in his back pocket just in case.
He's in information gathering mode right now.
Yeah, this is what he does best. This is all he wants to do right now is carry out the mission that Tyrion had gave him. But all this is for him. This is for him to put in his back pocket just in case. Right. Like, okay, I know that Marjorie. He already knows it kind of that Marjorie and really aren't really sexually active. Hell, they sleep in separate tents. And as well as Marjorie tries to push him down, saying, my husband is my king is my husband, you need to remember that. Really he's just taking that like, all right, well, not really, I'm sorry. Littlefinger's just taking it all in like, okay, you say whatever you want. But you have a desire to be queen, and that might come back up.
Yeah, he's taking it all in. That's an excellent point. All right, so the captured Night's Watchman recruits are brought to Harrenhal. So folks are being tortured and killed. The living situation is dire. Arya is laying in the mud, being rained on, and running down her list. This is, I believe, the first time we get her list.
Yeah.
Okay. We can say it. What's her list? Hey man, jump in.
What is her list? Like the actual people on her list?
What's the purpose? What's the purpose of her list?
Well, I mean, she got the idea from Yoren from that little conversation she had with him before they got taken prisoner, before the attack on their little encampment there. But pretty much these are all the people that have wronged her or her family, and she is repeating their names so she can remember them for enacting her revenge.
We're going to jump ahead.
It's pretty much her murder list.
Right.
It helps her sleep, so that's what she
listen. Some people have Ambien. Other people have murder. Why not?
Whatever helps you sleep, man.
There you go. Now Baelish confronts Cat. Even after his part in Ned losing his head, he's still trying to get at her romantically. When he tries to touch her, Cat threatens to cut a motherfucker. That is until Baelish offers to bring Arya and Sansa to her in exchange for Jaime. And as an act of good faith, Tyrion gives Ned's remains to Baelish to give to Cat. Baelish knows what people want. He's a really good reader of, and I think I do think he intended on trying to like he's in love with her, like he's obsessed with her maybe. I think he intended on trying to make that move, but I think he also intended on heightening the moment emotionally for her, even if it was a negative. So when he hits her with, here's your husband's bones. Here are his remains. And you don't really have to go to Rob to get your kids back. Kat is looking at all she's lost at this point, and she's desperate to get her kids back. And he's got it. Like he knows where she is, and he's manipulating that.
I think that, but see, I don't think that's him. That's Tyrion's plan, because this is the part that he was there for Tyrion. Tyrion knew the perfect person to put into this plan, but the whole giving the bones and offering up the daughters in exchange for Jaime, that's Tyrion.
Yeah, I think Peter's. Sorry to cut you guys off. No, I think Littlefinger's initial plan when he walked in and he saw like the woman that he's madly in love with was, well, her husband's dead now, so I'm gonna try to move on in. And the moment that she pulled that dagger on him you saw his face. He took a step back and was like, "Oh, okay, now I'm about my business." And that's when he started talking about, you know what? You can get your daughters back. We got your daughters. All you have to do is release Jamie, and good faith, I got your husband's bones. Like, he, believe me, if Catelyn was like, oh, you know what? You're right. I'm going to fall in your arms again, or ever at this one point in time, he ain't worrying about those bones.
Right.
I agree.
The whole deal is I think he's deluded himself in his mind that Ned was his only obstacle for Cat, and with Ned out of the way, that she would be, you know, all about him as much as he's about her. You know, he feels like she was like stolen by the Starks. Yeah. You know, and essentially, so he's figuring, yeah, this is my moment, you know, to try to get her. And he finds out, even with Ned out of the way, she never wanted him, and so he's got to come to grips with that. And then, especially when, you know, you'll get once he gets back to King's Landing, there's more proof of that he's kind of like, okay, I'm over Cat. We I got other fish to fry now. So, that was, like you said, I think he went in there to try to do his own thing, to get with Cat, because that's what he wants. That's like the thing that he's been dreaming about like his whole life. And then after that, it was business. He's like, okay, business.
Yeah, no, agreed. All right, back at Harrenhal, we get to see the torture this time, and it's gruesome. So, but they're also using it to find the Brotherhood. All right, first, let's get the torture out of the way. Who thinks up this shit? Like seriously? Because I feel like somewhere along the line, it was me and one of you, I can't think of who, we talked about the historical, this is all fiction here, but there's some historical accuracy here that this torture existed someplace.
Oh, yeah, this is what they did in, I think, England or in that area. Europe, yeah, that's a big torture thing.
So go ahead, Miles. Like, talk about what specifically they're doing.
Well, the idea is they would get a bucket, some rope, and a rat, and they'll put a rat in the bucket, and they'll tie it to your chest or your stomach, and they'll ask you whatever questions they want to ask you, but they will slowly take a torch to the end of the bucket, so the bucket will start to get hot and start, cause the rat to get agitated. So the rat will try to get out of the bucket, but the only way out of the bucket is through your chest. So the rat will literally start to crawl through you and like tear you from the outside and trying to get to the other side.
Okay. So which is worse, the rat torture or flaying?
I would say maybe the flaying, because the flaying you'll see it. Long time. You'll see it later in the episode or not in the episode, in the series with somebody. But it's you can take your time with flaying, so that's like prolonged agony.
But it's a rat chewing through you.
At least you're done quick.
You might be dead within an hour or two. Flaying, you might be dead in months, depending on what they want to do to you.
That's just gross. All right. Okay. What is the Brotherhood?
It's a Brotherhood without banners, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Brotherhood without banners. That's well, I mean, they'll touch on that later on, but we'll or not in the episode, but later on in the series. But I mean, it's pretty much the band of people that Ned sent out, led by Lord Beric Dondarrion to go get the mountain.
All right, sounds good. Okay, we can drop that because I don't have any notes for this scene. None at all.
Well, it's not much for the scene. The scene is just basically showing you that Tywin, I wouldn't say Tywin specifically, but the mountain, because I believe he's running the camp at this point, is looking for the Brotherhood, who's been harassing them the whole time ever since Ned sent them out in the first place.
Oh no, that's not what I was talking about. But that's an excellent point.
Oh, okay. Yeah, my bad.
No, you can. No. Finish your point. Finish your point.
I was going to say that's mainly what the whole scene was about. Even with the whole torturing thing, it was just basically this is what they're looking for, and they're rounding up villagers because they're thinking that these villagers are basically hiding these people or at least aiding these people.
Right. Yeah, hiding or aiding. So they're rounding up people from the villages and stuff, and trying to get all that information.
And as you said, it's less. It's not sanctioned by Tywin. It's not about the war. This is much more personal to the mountain than anything else. All right. Now, what I don't have notes on, thank you, Miles, is is the next scene, because this is all you. You lead the scene, and we will contribute from there.
Oh, man, this is the greatest scene of all time right here.
I wouldn't go that
far. Okay, so we finally get the meeting of the brothers. We're at somewhere in the middle of the Stormlands. The wind is blowing. You see both banners, similar but very different. You see the golden stag on the green field for Renly. You see the black stag inside of the flaming heart on the gold field for Stannis. And they're just there. This is all it is just a treat. They want to sit there and say what they want to say. You either surrender. No, you surrender. No one's going to surrender. But in this scene, there's just punches being thrown left and right, verbal punches, that is. You got Stannis basically telling everybody he is the king by right. There's no other thing. He is the second brother to Robert, is his. Really, he's telling him that nobody likes him. He's just, a bore. I believe he calls him that too. Melisandre is telling him that you should bend your knee to your brother, before he is, the Lord's chosen, born amidst salt and smoke. And really, sister says, what? Is he a ham? Oh,
that's a great line. That's a great line.
Really, it's just beautiful. And then Catelyn's there, she's the typical mom. Hey, you guys, my sons, I'll lock you all in a room, knock each other's heads. So you guys can realize you guys are family. You guys should be working together and taking down the Lancer. But Stannis, my big homie, likes to remind her, say, hey, look, I'm surprised that you're here, because last time I checked, your husband, who supported my claim, lost his head for me. So I don't know what you're talking about. This is my kingdom. And it ends so beautifully. Stannis is telling him, well, what makes you think you're gonna win? He says, really tells him, look upon the field. He said, what, bolts of cloth? He said, no, the men holding those bolts of cloth are gonna make me king. Because, believe it or not, well, you don't have to believe it, it's the honest truth, Willie has 100,000 soldiers behind him.
That's right.
Stannis, like I said before, probably got 2 dudes and a horse. He don't really got much. So it ends, they're all, Stannis says, come the dawn, we'll see, who's standing. And Melisandre looks at him and said, Lord Winnie, you should look upon your sins, for the night is dark and full of terrors. It's just beautifully done.
Yeah, now, also ominous.
Yeah, send chills up my spine. Although I will say, the best hype man was Loras, because if every time Renly was throwing something, Loras has this big old smirk on his face, like he just want to say something, but
he's like, my boo said something nice. My boo got you.
What you got to say about that, Stannis? And Davos is just quiet in the background because he don't need to say anything. He's just about it. But then that comes up later.
Davos is the greatest hype man. He didn't have to say anything, but Davos is the greatest hype man in Westeros.
Yeah, we'll get to that scene. We find that out later. Yeah, we do find that out later.
We're going to get to that scene, why Davos is the best.
Okay.
Best ever. Go ahead.
Okay, let me jump in real quick. So you have this face off between brother, and even like it ended with Renly saying, "I can't believe I loved him once." Mm-hmm. What was that? Like something akin to that?
Yeah. Would you believe I loved him once?
There you go. Mm-hmm. So was Catelyn right? You two need to knock this shit off, because you can win together.
I agree. I think Colin is right. But here's the problem. We know these two type of people. Stannis is by the book. He is iron. He's not going to bend. He's going to break before he bends. And Renly over there, it has in his head that he's charismatic like Robert. People love him. He makes friends. He got all everyone's supporting him. That he could be king. And then they're not going to give an inch on that. There's nothing they can do at this point. I mean, Renly already has the numbers. Stannis has the claim. No one's going to sit there and be like, you know what? You're right. Let me tip my banners. I'm going to come to your side. I mean, hell, Stannis was like, listen, I'll name you my heir.
Yeah. We're from Philly. So if you don't know what young boy is, go look it up in the Urban Dictionary. But he, young boy, the shit out of Renly with that line.
Yeah, he did. And Renly and that. Look around you, man. You don't got the numbers to take me on, so I don't know what you're talking about. This is all. I'm sorry. Go ahead. No, I was going to say this is all.
Go for it.
No, I was going to say this all could have been avoided if just Renly would just be like, you know what? Stannis is the older brother. He's older than me. I'm just going to go ahead and follow him. But
all right, Manny, jump in because you haven't had much to say on this one.
I mean, you guys said most of it already. I mean, you're right. If they would have just kind of came together, they'd be pretty unstoppable between Stannis's prowess as a commander and the numbers that Renly can bring forward. And Renly should just know, just like even if he wanted to just use his brother to get, to move forward and get him out of the way and just use him and get his foot in the door, and then okay, maybe I'll make something happen to Stannis, and then hey, look at me, now I'm king. I mean, it's terrible, but he could have done that.
True.
Yeah, and they also, I was about to say, and they also would have, if egos got in check, they also would have complimented each other.
Right. As we said in the previous episode that they're together, they're Robert. If you put them together, they're Robert.
Good call. All right, let's move on. So the Khalasar, or what's left of it, makes it to the gates of Koth. You get that right? Koth.
The greatest city that ever was or ever will be.
Where the 13 greet them. They are basically the rulers and politicians, the money men even of the city. The spokesperson isn't nearly as hospitable as Daenerys expected. He's interested in seeing her dragons, essentially holding it over her head. But Daenerys also isn't interested in showing them. He's snarky, he's condescending, and it doesn't look like he's going to let the Khalasar in. Dany loses her shit and starts breathing fire. But the threats don't affect him at all. Another 13 eventually vouches for Daenerys and the Khalasar. I'm not even going to begin to pronounce this name.
Dog sauce? Yeah,
you could just call him Zaro.
I'm not going to even do that. But he eventually vouches for Daenerys and the Khalasar, and for all intents and purposes, saved their lives. We got anything on this scene? Because it doesn't seem like that was it was a nice little exchange, but there wasn't a whole lot cooking here, except for Daenerys' temper.
You get to see Daenerys' temper. She tries her hand. This is like the first time you see her try her hand at diplomacy, and she's stumbling through it. She's trying to observe some courtesies, and she's getting rebuffed. And so finally her temper, that hot Targaryen temper, kind of flares up, and she's like, all right, whatever. When my dragons are fully grown, I will come back here and I will burn this place to the ground. To which the guy rightly says, he's like, well, 2 seconds ago you said if I don't let you in, you'll die. So I'm not too worried.
Yeah. And then you got old boy in the back coming out. evoking what, Sumai, I believe he
Sumai.
evokes. Yeah.
He's like, oh, that's a hot piece of ass. Let me let her in.
Even with her chapped lips and her nappy hair, we could dress her up a little bit.
He saw potential.
Exactly. He's like, I can give her a nice shower. We'd be good.
Man, we got real sexist here for a second. All right.
No, and also got real. I hate to say this though, but he comes up. He's talking to. He doesn't even have a name, but he's talking to the guy. They said, well, the guy's telling, well, we're not going to let Dothraki come to our city because Dothraki has a reputation of just being these wild people going around stealing and killing people and raping. Like, we're not going to bring these people in our city. And, he sits there and tells him, well, you thought I was a savage. And, here I am, one of the 13.
You thought I was a savage from the Summer Isles.
Yeah. Was this code for it? I'm black. So let these
listen, you're not wrong because the Summer Isles is people of that complexion.
Dark skin, like
the dark skin.
I was over here nodding my head because I knew it was coming. It's like so all the brown people in Westeros are savages. That's not cool.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, not cool.
We see what kind of story you're writing.
Yeah, we're getting there. All right, back at Harrenhal, Gendry gets chosen for the rat in the bucket torture. That's got to be a better name than rat in the bucket torture.
I don't know.
Thankfully, at that moment, Tywin shows up and shuts the nonsense down. He recognizes, because Tywin's the man, he recognizes that these are people and therefore resources. They have value. He gets out of Gendry that he's a smith. And he looks at these, like the Lannister soldiers, like, what are you idiots doing? He easily figures out that Arya is a girl and that she's smart. And he takes her on as his cupbearer. Okay, this is the beginning. I want to jump ahead so bad, but we're going to wait because this is the beginning of one of my absolute favorite relationships in Game of Thrones.
Yeah,
because there's two people I love. Yeah, and it's not in the books.
Oh, really?
This is totally made for the show. Because in the books,
it's Roose Bolton that's there.
It's Roose Bolton.
Okay. Yeah. That's it. Okay, so since I got two book guys here, gentlemen, which is better?
Oh, that's what
This is better.
Okay. So this will be one of the few times that we can say on air, it's not air, but you know what I mean, that something that was created for a show is better than something that was in a book.
I do like this better.
Okay. That's interesting. We're all geeks and at some level fanboys, as much as I hate that word. So we don't hear that very often in anything when you start making those something from a book to another piece of media. Mm-hmm. All right. So cousin Lancel brings Tyrion a decree from Cersei saying that Grandmaster Pycelle should be released from the Black Cells. Tyrion isn't nearly as interested as where Pycelle is laying his head as where Lancel has laid his head, has laid other things. So Tyrion basically breaks Lancel all the way down because he knows Lancel's sleeping with Cersei.
It wasn't hard to break him down.
Yeah, it's not hard. Lance was a punk ass bitch.
And what's funny, because we didn't get into it, he's so tough at court, laying out Robb's perceived crimes and that he and the Starks are cannibals and everything. He's like, like when we see him, he looks like the little Dutch boy when he's giving wine to Robert, and he gets some new clothes and a haircut. Now he's tough, but in front of somebody who's so mentally superior, he's, as you said, Manny, a little bitch.
Little bitch.
Let me throw it to you, Miles. Talk to me about Tyrion's manipulation of Lancel and what it means.
This proves how smart Tyrion is, because he took one piece of information, very small, and it got Lancel to admit everything. Lancel comes in with this decree, and Tyrion does not care. He's like, I'm not gonna work with this guy. I don't care what my sister. But Tyrion knows it's late, and he's sitting there thinking like, okay, well, why are you just now giving this? So then he starts like poking and prodding Lancel. Lancel's falling for this hook, line, and sinker. He's calling him an imp. He's acting all tough, like, oh, you imp. I do what your sister says. I won't listen to you. He's like, oh. So like, when did Cersei give you this order? It's kind of late. And he's like, oh, I come here as soon as she tells me to come here. And he's like, oh, that's quite interesting. It being the hour of the wolf, a.k.a. the booty call hour. And
I like how he referred to it as the hour of the wolf.
I was like, it was just hilarious. And then it hits Lance like, oh, shit, I fucked up. He tells Lancel that, hey, look, you know what? This is not my problem. I'm going to tell Joffrey. He will love to hear how you're banging his mom. And he just collapsed. He just begs like, please don't do this. I'll take this back. He said, no. I'll release Parcel. I don't really care. It's not really that big of a deal. But now you're going to spy on my sister for me. You're going to tell me everything she does, and you're going to come straight to me. Which is brilliant. Yeah. Perfect.
You got anything here, Manny?
No, I mean that's basically it. Just the way and the skill that Tyrion possesses with that brain of his. He picks up on just a little piece of information and he trips him up. He leads him right there. He sees it from the beginning. He kind of uses the Lancel's kind of piss and vinegar that he's got in the beginning against him. Mm-hmm. He's like, oh, okay, I'll use that anger. Oh, so what are you doing? Oh, well, like Miles said. Oh, I do things right away when she says it. Oh, that's interesting because it's late. So you must have been in her room.
Yeah.
And you get like Miles said, you get that look from Lancel like, shit, I fucked up.
Yeah. This is again, and it's something that we talk about, but not very much, and we kind of don't need to, but it bears saying here, the writing and the dialogue, and when you get an actor who can pull that stuff off, there's this incredible synergy. I mean, it's almost like, okay, well, we've got to get a writer to write for Tyrion. Like just specific his words, the way he would deliver them. It's really like it for everything that goes on in the show. We can never kind of understate how great the writing is and how the actors deliver it.
But I was saying at this point in time, George R.R. Martin is in that writer's room. Okay. So he's helping them create this dialogue, because you get most of that in the books too. So
okay, good stuff. All right, Manny, the rest of this is on you, because I think you had something particular you wanted to get through, but you can walk us through this last couple of scenes here, because it's for me, this is kind of our second look at big magic. The first being Daenerys being burned and not being burned, doing the whole rising from the ashes, wakes up, man, we got 3 baby dragons going, and then we get here. But before I like to set the stage, because Stannis is talking to Davos and he wants Davos to take care of something for him. Mm-hmm. And this will be the first time that Stannis kind of veers away from, and not crazy, but he veers away from his straight and narrow approach on things. So it's all on you, bro.
I mean, I wouldn't say that he veers away from. Well, I see. I think I see where you're going.
Yeah.
Where he veers away from the straight and narrow. I do like this scene between Stannis and Davos because you get a little bit more of that Stannis personality where he's correcting his grammar, doing all this, and I like that because this 4 fewer fingernails to clean thing, it ends up coming back later. Davos ends up correcting somebody later on in the season, like season 5 or 6, and it's like, okay, this lesson kind of stuck with him. So it just shows that these characters are learning from each other, and it's nice that they throw these little callbacks in there. But he's having that conversation about Davos keeps the knuckle bones of the fingers that Stannis cut off in a bag around his neck, and they're like a good luck charm for him. And so I guess he cut off 4 fingers. Mm-hmm. And they give him luck, and so he keeps it, and he says, it just reminds me where I've come from and where I am now. It reminds me of your justice. It was an honest punishment, and you were good with the cleaver. And Stannis says a really good quote here. You are a hero and a smuggler. A good act does not wash out the bad, nor the bad the good. I like that quote. It's really just kind of shows. You think it's beautiful because it's Stannis. But then you get, I don't know if it was meant to be actually like a joke from Stannis, but it's he tells him that he needs him to do something, that he needs him to smuggle something. Or before that, he's talking about that his son doesn't listen to him, and Davos is saying that his son doesn't listen to him. But if Melisandre, if the Red Lady told him to do something, Stannis cuts him off. He's like, she has a name. And then they go back to kind of business, and he's like, all right, well, what do you want me to smuggle? And he says, the Red Lady. I'm like, did he forget that quickly that he just that he just told her that he had, is that supposed to be a joke, or is it just a mistake? But it's kind of funny. It makes me laugh every time I hear it. But he's sent to smuggle Melisandre into this like hidden cove underneath Storm's End. They're having this conversation about just kind of the light and the light and dark, and about her religion, and about different things. And they talk about, your Lord of Light asks you to work in the shadows. Is that, that doesn't make any sense to him. And she's like, well, shadows can't live in the dark. They're servants of the light. So they're the children of fire, and the brighter the flame, the darker they are. So she's kind of going back and forth, showing, well, you need light for dark. And, that kind of, I think, goes from good to, shows, good and bad, and, good and evil and all that. So I think that's kind of like a parallel there. And then you get her, they get to the end of the line. She disrobes. She's completely naked. Davos kind of, turns around, sees her, and she gets down into a birthing position. And you see her stomach start to undulate, and things are poking out of it. And Davos is very frightened as he sees a shadow monster, shadow demon, come out of her and just kind of sit there in the air, and then fade to black. I mean, that's just, I can imagine being Davos and just seeing that and being like, okay, I didn't really kind of believe in her bullshit and in this religion thing and all this, but now I'm seeing this shadow demon come out of her.
Yes.
It's like he's got to be like,
what the fucking fuck?
This is blowing his mind.
I mean, even before that, like, as soon as she disrobed, you see that she's pregnant, like, and not like, just pregnant. She's like 9 months pregnant, and the time it took for them to get to the Stormlands, to have that meeting, 9 months didn't pass. So, like, when he sees that, his mind is like,
oh yeah, and then it goes directly as you can see in that final shot when they're kind of staring at the shadow monster. She's, as soon as it's out, she's fully back to normal again.
Right. Yeah.
And that's not how it works.
If you're giving birth to a shadow demon, it does. I again, like performance-wise, I love Mel's swagger. Mm-hmm. I love her confidence, and I think if you're a zealot, which she is, you have the power of belief behind you, and that will give you that confidence. She's smirking. She gets off on the fact that he's uncomfortable. He's uncomfortable just being in the boat with her. Note that he doesn't look at her very much. That he's looking away quite a bit. And when right before they come ashore, she fucks with him a little bit. You want me, don't you?
Oh yeah,
it's like you fuck it, you know.
Oh yeah, like, she's like, you've known other women besides your wife,
right?
And then she's like, well, I can tell you want me.
Yeah, she's.
You want to see what's under these robes? She's goading him. She's definitely.
And what's under the robe is something else entirely. But this relationship between these two, I love the combustion here. Mm-hmm. You know, it's like they're both there to serve Stannis, but believe totally different things, and they're always going to butt heads.
They're fighting for Stannis' love. I hate to say it like that, but that's basically what's happening.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. I agree with that. Yeah. I couldn't agree with that more. All right, guys, we got anything else? Did I miss anything? Oh, actually, we do have something else, man. You said you had a story to tell, right?
Yeah, I will tell this. For anybody that listened to the episode that I hosted, I said that I would bring this story back up when it applied. And I'm going to also post the YouTube link for it in the show notes so that anybody who wants to watch the thing in its entirety, they definitely can, because it's long and this part is just at the end. But for this episode, if you bought the DVD or Blu-ray or whatever, Davos and Melisandre, Liam Cunningham and Clarice Van Houten, they do the commentary for this episode. And so they are talking about this whole end scene. And Davos says, "Oh, do you remember the time that you made me blush right before we filmed this?" And she's like, "Oh yeah, I had gotten into my full, get up." So she's got a merkin, which for anybody that doesn't know, that's pretty much fake genitalia in the movie business. And
I'm glad you cleared it up. Like fake genitalia, long pause.
So that's fake genitalia in the movie business. And then she had the stomach on, and of course it's edited out, but there was maybe, I think she said like 5 or 6 tubes that were pushed through holes in the stomach behind her for the tech people behind her there was like pneumatics in it, and that's what made her belly undulate the way it did as she was giving birth to the shadow monster. And he says to her, he sees her before they start filming, and he was kind of really interested in this whole getup. He wanted to see the belly, and so he says, "Oh, can you let me see? You've got it on right now?" She's like, "Yeah, I got it on right now." So she just pulls out the belly, and he's like, "Oh, that's kind of cool." He's like, and then joking around, he's like, "Oh, let me see the tits." and so she opens up the whole robe, and he goes, "Oh yeah, those are really good." And she goes, "Well, they're mine." And he's like, "Oh," because he thought that she was fake from neck down to the merkin. He thought that whole front was fake. He didn't realize that it was just the stomach and the merkin. So he was like, "Oh my God, really? Those are yours?" And she's like, "Yeah." And then he's like, "Well, why did you show them to me for?" So she didn't care. She just threw him out there. So I just thought that was a kind of funny story that I by chance kind of stumbled upon. I don't have the DVDs, but I think I stumbled on it on YouTube one day, and I was like, "This is hilarious."
Well, the funny thing about that is a couple of days ago when I was doing the notes for this, I thought exactly that. Like, man, those are great things. And they're not.
They're hers.
I am also not embarrassed. So there we go. All right, gents. We're out of here. Miles, give the world your social media, sir.
Oh, yeah. We finally got a Twitter up and running, guys. So you can reach me at Mr. Eagles22 at Twitter. Go for any questions, any comments, anything you guys want to talk about. I'm big in sports, so I'm here if you guys want to hit me up.
Cool.
One of them for loving Stannis so much. That's.
Or you could tell me how much you love Stannis. We can have a little Stannis fan club going on.
There you go.
And let me real quick before we go to you, Manny, because we got to get out of here. There's always more stuff that we want to say, and this was something that I was when I talked about acting and line delivery and stuff. What's the actor's name who plays Stannis?
Stephen Delaney is the actor.
I heard that he hated doing this role.
He didn't want to do it. Stephen Delaney. He did not want to do that. He did not want to do this. He was
so
really not into it.
Yeah.
He's so rigid and
he's the perfect Stannis.
My good, I love his performance, and to hear that he was like, not so much. Yeah, I mean, it kind of shows his talent. Sorry about that, guys.
That's all good.
Manny, go ahead. Social media.
You can get me on Reddit or on Twitter at OhGoodGeek, OhGoodGeek.
All right, Gerald L. Cooper on Twitter, Gerald Cooper on Facebook, and that has been By the Old Pods and the New, episode 4. Wait, what's the name of episode 4?
Season 2, episode 4.
Garden of Bones.
Garden of Bones.
Thank you. I set my notes down, and I'm done. In front. We're out of here, folks. We'll talk to you soon.